Now, welcome, Rob.
Hi, Zania. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Might have just tapped him on the shoulder spontaneously. So this is, unscripted people.
They make for the best conversation.
Yeah. I have actually secretly been wanting to meet you and talk to you for a long time because I am an absolute fan of Nick and Jamie and everything they do. I think it's amazing how he's grown that company. I used to work for a grocery brand and he was really great at sharing lessons that they'd learnt from launching their products. I really loved the fact that they were trying to get people to pick up on new products. And he would do radius targeting ads on Meta around the supermarkets to drive demand. And then the supermarket owners would be like, we need more. And so it was just such clever, very smart marketing strategies that nobody else was really doing. So I would love for you to give a bit of an intro about yourself and what you do at Zuru and maybe just share with us. Like, I've heard you've launched more than 10 brands in 1 year. Did you get any sleep?
Oh, yeah, there's a bit of sleep thrown in there. I think when you've got 2 young children as well, that doesn't help, but it's all part and parcel of just the amazing roller coaster that it is being at Zuru. So just to take a step back. So I'm Rob. I'm the global head of digital at Zuru, and I've been here for, it will be my 1 year anniversary next week. And the amount that I've learned and discovered over that 12-month period has been incredible. I think the beauty and the real power of Zuru is just the transparency that exists within the whole business. So you get to see everything top to bottom, to left to right. You know, I'm having conversations with commercial and sales as much as I am with marketing with my own team. And then you've got visionaries like Nick and his brother Matt and Jamie who sit above that, who just set the most incredible views and guidance for you to then strive to build towards. So ultimately, everyone within the business is given the responsibility to drive towards that as quickly as possible.
But the rate at which they've rolled out so many successful brands, like Days just launched, and I was loving it because it's so colourful and beautiful. And then they've had, Rascal Friends was massively successful. I mean, there's so many.
Totally.
And then there's all these new vitamin brands and makeup brands and
it's the pace of how we work and how we innovate and how we take an insight and go to market. That really, in the essence, is the secret sauce. So within Zuru, there's something called Zuru Fitness, which is how you as an employee get into the slipstream of that pace as quickly as you possibly can. And when you first go into it and some of the first conversations you have, it flies around you at 1,000,000 miles an hour and you think, how on earth am I ever going to thrive here? And then quickly you motor into that. So to your point on brand launches, for example, we launched in the last 12 months as I've been here, we've launched 16 brands in 81 different countries, which for a business that already has a set of established brands, we probably had 15 to 20 going into that point. You're still building on that platform and you're still growing brands that have existed for 5 to 10 years and then really supercharging that with these new brands. So how you juggle the plates and how you manage all of that is a real skill that you learn, but you learn quickly. And what I've found throughout that process is that thirst for innovation and the real drive just to not accept good. That's the difference. So when you're working with people like Nick and Matt and Jamie, there's never more than a second that you take to stop still and pat yourself on the back. It's always right. What's next?
Yeah.
What have I learned? What can we do that's even bigger? How can I take something that's done 50 mil in a year and how can I make that 200 mil within 1, 2, 3 years? So it's just that drive for more all the time. So as a marketer, the blessing that I've been given is that mindset translates through to how we go to market and how we launch our products, how we market our brands, how we connect with customers. It's all built with speed, innovation, agility, and creativity at the heart, which for me is just the most incredible opportunity.
So dynamic.
So dynamic.
Yeah. And so talk a bit about the strategy for go-to-market.
Yeah.
Is it essentially weighted more to digital or is it equally traditional and digital through the line?
So over 90% of all of our marketing investment is in digital channels.
Wow.
We've never put a linear TV ad on in the US.
Wow.
Which is unbelievable when you think that last year we did $2.5 billion US in rev. So we have got, we are now a big CPG player,
Yeah.
by all sense and purposes. And, a couple of months ago, we won Walmart Supplier of the Year within CPG.
Yeah.
So that's the level that we're operating
that
at.
is such an epic accolade to win in such a short time.
Totally.
And you're up against things like what? Beastables and...
Yeah, we're everything. You're up against Unilever, P&G and L'Oreal and all of these guys, and we're getting given the same time and the same platform as them. And what they see in us and what they like working with us is by having that laser focus on younger demographics, they know that we can win within digital. So we're not bound by the legacy way that marketing and media has operated in the past. We don't have to move from there back in. We start scrappy and we start digital and build upwards, which for us is awesome. So when we launch a brand, there's two really interesting components around it. One is that we do launch brands on social and digital platforms first.
Yeah.
And the second is we're getting really back to our roots of what we call fast starting brands. So when we've got an idea for a new brand, we will now test that in New Zealand before we roll it out wide anywhere in the world. So the US is always still our focal priority market because of the scale of it.
Yeah.
And because of the relationships that we've got with our retailers. But when we've got a brand that we want to test how it looks on shelf, whether the product works, whether naturally it gets the attention of customers, we run that in a select number of stores in New Zealand first.
Because New Zealand's been a test market for many, many, many years.
Totally.
That global brands have done that. So, it's great that they're continuing the trend. Yeah.
It's on our doorstep. It's a market that's incredibly close to all of us. It's incredibly close to Nick and Matt and Jay because of the fact they're very, very proud Kiwis. And it means that, when we put something out into market, we can go and see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of us spend quite a bit of time in the US. Nick's been over there for almost 6 weeks now. So he gets to see things on shelf there, but he's not there permanently. And our team's not necessarily there permanently. So when you can see it in a New Zealand supermarket or a New Zealand retailer, and you can see how it looks on shelf and you can see how it looks compared to your comps, and you can see whether it's selling or not, it's so much more of a better platform for us to be able to make much bigger decisions. So if we want to go and open in 4,000 doors in the US, that's a huge cost, time, reputation investment for us. If it doesn't work, you lose all of those things to an extent. Whereas if you can test it in New Zealand, which as a market is relatively similar to the US, albeit a lot smaller, if it works, it's great. You go, cool, we're going to sprint at this, we're going to tweak this, this, and this, and then we'll launch it out into the likes of Walmart and Target. And if it doesn't work, you either go, right, that's not right for us, for whatever reason it might be, or you go, okay, here's some fundamental changes that we might make to packaging or ingredients or price or whatever it is. We'll give it another go, and then we'll see if it works. That's like the test and learn ethos that we apply, which is what makes our business so successful.
And what's your recipe for success? Do you have, because over the years I've worked in marketing, I've kind of built up my fan favorites and things that I know have tested and learned and proven again and again that they work.
Yeah.
So do you have kind of I suppose a secret recipe that you've built over the years that you've kind of have used to build that success for Zuru?
I think it's a really good question. I think for us, when we go to market, you really get a feel of what works and what doesn't work. You can see from the immediate uptake, or not necessarily some of the time. And I think you can also, from a marketing perspective, you see it in the content. I think the content that really lands and translates the packaging super well and tells an exciting story, and that when you give briefs to creators that they create amazing content, you go, right, we've really landed on something here. I think Days is a really, really good example of that. I think we always knew that Days was going to be a rocket ship.
But is that recipe quite ingrained in influencers and PR first, and then it kind of springboards off into
different by vertical?
Okay.
Beauty, as an example, will always have a heartland in content, and creators and PR will be a big element of that. PR is essential for the backbone of building beauty brands. Jamie and her team have just got the most amazing connections and drive, just the most incredible PR uptake for the work they do on beauty. I mean, to still do use PR in other verticals and other brands, but I would say for something like toys, toys is different. So, because of the way that the mods reset, you'll often get 4 to 6 months for a product to work or not work. So how you drive that within the first few weeks is paramount. So for me, a lot of my early career was in entertainment, and particularly within movies. Toys is very similar to that. You get a very short window to be able to make the biggest splash possible and to drive as much demand as you possibly can, to take to the retailers as well and say, look, here's what we've delivered from a marketing perspective. This is going to fly off the shelf. You need to back this. So we have much more condensed time frame to launch, use creators, use influencers, use our own content, share a lot of content. It's as much quantity as it is quality. And we can often see the virality that comes with that, whether it's going to be a hit or
And
not.
so how are you measuring success in that real time? Is it the sentiment and the virality or is it the sales?
All of it.
All of it.
I think the challenging part, obviously, by being non-endemic is that very rarely we can see the direct correlation between our media and our marketing and sales, right? At its core, we are looking at all of the things that you've spoken about. It's the performance of organic, because organic will tell you whether content's good or not. Then it's when you go into paid, it's the view count that comes with that, your watch times, your view rates, always benchmarking that against what we see as a standard across each different product and each different SKU. And then sentiment is a huge part of it. Are people commenting on it? Are they sharing it? Are they liking it? We've had really good examples of content that we've thrown out there, not knowing whether it's going to work or not, that end up getting tens of millions of views.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, my favorite, and I'll talk about it in my talk at 150 in the Red Room. My favorite example is a creator that we work with on XShot, which is our Dark Blaster brand, and her name's Granny. So Granny is in her 80s. She's from Oklahoma, and she's got a TikTok account and a YouTube account with her grandson, Holden, and they create content made for younger demographics, but Granny is the face. So Granny is not a high cost investment creator that we work with, but she just creates the best content.
And it probably resonates.
And in an era where creativity wins, Granny's the perfect version of that because she's unique, she's quirky.
Yeah.
The brand ambassadorship that she gives us is incredible. And as a prime example, last year, probably around August, September time, Granny shot a piece of content with our Insanity Dark Blaster, which is where you can take different XShots and put them all together to create an even bigger one.
Yeah.
So she was literally sitting in her chair and her grandson panned the camera around. She had this ginormous Insanity Dark Blaster. And that content, which might have been 30 seconds long, organically, that got 115 million views in the US alone. We then put that on our channel. It got another 45 million organic views. And overall, once we put pay behind it, not a lot amount, she got, for one piece content, over 200 million views. So then the real ethos of Zuru then is, again, you don't sit down and pat yourself on the back. You go, how do we double down with Granny? So as you do, we created an army of grannies around the world. So we've now got a Granny XShot influencer in France and in Germany and Mexico and Spain, all local language. So
did you find them?
Yeah.
Were they already on YouTube?
Oh, you dig around and you pick them out for different places and you put out some casting calls and now all of a sudden you got 20 grannies firing dart blasters.
Is it working in other markets?
Yeah, 100%. Oh. Granny is global. Granny works in any language. So in France, she's got 1.5 million organic views on her first piece of content. So we can't quite do a Hunger Games with the grannies. It doesn't really work, So that's too far. But just the concept of the quirkiness of them making content works. And that was one that could have worked, could not have worked.
So when you say you double down on it, so you're resharing it organically.
Yeah.
But then do you put pay behind it too?
Yeah.
Because you know that it's already proven itself.
Totally.
So it's going to go off.
Totally. So we put low levels amounts of pay behind that. I think, when we see something work organically or not, if it doesn't work, you go, right, what was good, what was not so good? What do you tweak? Can we re-edit this piece of content and make it work again? Or do we have to put it to one side and
So you're testing everything organically first?
We try as much as we possibly can do.
Wow.
That's the ambition.
So you want amazing content that's going to resonate, then you pour the fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason being is it makes your content and your money work
harder.
So we don't have budgets like our competitors do.
You wouldn't know it.
You wouldn't know it, but that's because we're reaching you in the platforms that you watch content on. Yeah. But we're not, when you look at Baby, we're not a Huggies, we're not a Pampers, we haven't been in market for decades. We don't spend, the best part of $100 million US on TV ads. Like, we're just not there.
Yeah.
So when we're in the platforms that we know work for our audiences, we're going in with the mentality of how do I make every cent work as hard as possible, which is crazy when you think about how much money we've got. But, proportionally, we don't have a lot of budget. And innately in our spirit, we are still a startup. Yeah, we did $2.5 billion last year, but at its core, Nick and Jay and Matt, and internally we have a culture.
They're entrepreneurs.
They're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, it's the business's money. We're still 100% privately owned. So every dollar you spend has to be like you'd spend it your own. That's the way we always push ourselves. So it's like, right, if you've got this piece of content, would you put
your money
behind it? Whereas if you could put it live organically and see whether it works, it gives you a better framework to be able to understand whether it's good or whether it's not.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you came on this spontaneous podcast with me. And I think I've now got a taste that I want more. So you're going to have to come on my podcast.
I would love to. Yeah. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me. It's been a real treat.
No, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you speak.
Oh, good. Thank you. I hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Zania.
Bye.
Bye-bye.